The Great Resignation. How is it going to affect your next move? The Harvard Gazette just came out with an article that was called, "I Quit is All the Rage. Is it just a blip or is it a sea change?" Early in the pandemic, employers couldn't get rid of employees fast enough. Millions were laid off. Pay cuts, hiring freezes. Economists predicted that it was going to be a really grim year for workers. Now, 20 months later, U.S. employers are scrambling to fill 10 million jobs. And many of those same employees who were laid off are now saying, hey, no thanks. Economists are calling it the Great Resignation. Let's talk about a few statistics. The U.S. Bureau of Labor just reported that in August, 4.3 million people quit their jobs. That was 242,000 more than in July. The monthly quit rate is at a new high. It's just hit 2.9%. And the unemployment rate is really low at 4.3%. It's only just a little higher than pre-pandemic. But something much bigger happened and is happening right now. So what happened? COVID happened. All of our lives came to a screeching halt, and many people who had never done this reevaluated their working lives. We are all insanely busy all of the time. There's hardly any time to think, and suddenly we stopped. Suddenly we questioned everything. What were we doing to make money? How are we spending our lives? How are we being valued by our employers? How are we valuing our relationships? Why did we have to commute hours to work when all we did was sit in front of a computer all day anyway? So are people opting out or are they holding out? Well, the answer is kind of both. Historically, people who change their jobs more frequently increase their salaries faster. So I always recommend for creative professionals anyway, is the best way to increase your salary is to change jobs. But definitely don't change jobs for less than a 15 to 20% increase and a title change. Low unemployment means there's a lot more jobs out there, and there's a higher incentive right now to change jobs. The pandemic has created this historic take this job and shove it moment. Why? Because people love working from home, or at least not in the office. Before COVID, companies made it really hard to work from home. They discouraged it actively, or they said it was impossible. But then, boom, COVID happened, and suddenly everyone had to work from home, and suddenly it was possible. A survey by Bankrate showed that 56% of respondents said that adjustable work hours and remote work was a priority for them in a job choice. Now, you know you can do your job at home. And now that COVID is easing, employers want you to come back. And you're thinking, why should I go back? And employers, many of them are like shocked. Now, quickly on a side note, if you're considering a pivot or you're confused about where to take your professional career next, I offer coaching for entrepreneurs and creative pros. You can focus on things like getting clarity on what you want or need professionally, or what you need to do in order to get there, how to build a freelance business, or how to start a new startup business. How do you build a personal brand? How do you network better? How do you do new business development better? Just some of the things that we cover in coaching. If you're curious about it, go to philipvandusen.com/one-on-one. That's ONEONONE. Here's some additional reasons for the Great Resignation. For one thing, boomers are retiring. Boomers who got pushed out during the pandemic are finding it harder to find new jobs. There may be ageism, or they may be feeling they're just done and they're ready to move on a little sooner than they thought. There's also the rise of the consulting class. So we know that statistically, by 2024, almost 35% of the working population are going to be independent contractors, freelancers, or consultants. And it's easier now than ever to be an independent. You can just build a personal brand, start a freelance business. There are tons of new learning resources out there to get you up to speed, tons of masterminds and apps and software as a service that makes it much more easy than it used to be to become an independent. Those are just some of the reasons why so many people are finding it hard or reconsidering why they should go back to full-time employment or go back to the office with their old employer. Some more reasons for the Great Resignation are people really paid attention to how their employees treated them during the pandemic. Did they act caring? Did they care about your family or your health? Did they pressure you at all? Did they pressure you or offer you any kind of protection or flexibility in order to make the transition in the pandemic easier? People really paid attention also to how brands treated their employees during the pandemic. Some took real hits to brand loyalty and equity by not treating their employees well during COVID. I won't name names, but you know who you are. Microsoft, for one, reported that 40% of the global workforce is considering leaving or changing their jobs in the next year. And that's a pretty astounding statistic. So looking ahead, the question is whether the Great Resignation will actually change anything. Will it bring meaningful long-term change to workplace culture? Will the way companies invest in their employees change? I believe the answer is yes. How companies respond to their employees is going to define their brands for decades. Brands are going to be expected to make serious investments in their employees, in wages, in opportunities, in safety and security, in work environment, in work-life balance, and in mental well-being. So, what does the Great Resignation mean for you? If you're thinking about making a change or a pivot of some sort, now is actually a good time to do it. And if you're currently employed with an agency or in-house, you have more bargaining power now than ever. You can bargain salary or title or benefits or work from home flexibility. You're in a powerful position right now. Now, if you're thinking about going solo or becoming a freelancer and independent, I recommend that you have 6 to 12 months of full living expenses in the bank before you do so. Because when you make that transition to being independent, it takes a lot longer than you may think it does. A lot of people right now are doing the same thing, so you're going to have a little more competition out there than you have in the past. You want to make sure that you're spending some time building your connections, building your network of colleagues before you're going to need them. You're also going to want to make sure that you're updating your website and your portfolio and your LinkedIn profile. You're registering your business. You're getting all the financial software as a service stuff set up. There's a lot to do before you go independent, and it's much more comfortable to do that while you're employed full-time. If you're going to be out there and looking for a job, though, and you're planning on working with a recruiter, there's one thing I want to mention and make sure that you're keeping in mind, and that is recruiters don't work for you. Recruiters work for the company that hired them to fill the position. So they are advocating in a way that's going to benefit that company, not necessarily you. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to that fact and trying to get the best deal that you can, because you have that added level of bargaining power right now due to the unemployment rate and how hard companies are having to work to fill their roles again. So if you're considering making some sort of a pivot or a change, make sure that you reach out for support. There's a lot of people out there who are considering doing the same thing right now. I have a free Facebook group. It's called the Brand Design Masters Facebook group, which is a group of entrepreneurs and creative professionals that are sharing experience and resources and feedback with each other, and that would be a great place for you to get some support. You can also join a mastermind group or take continuing education classes in real life or online. COVID has been really hard on all of our mental health. So if you're struggling at all with mental well-being, make sure that you seek out help. Talk to someone, a professional if necessary. Open up. And also be open to talking to other people. Let your friends know that you're there for them. So that's it. I hope this video helped you figure out your next steps a little bit in terms of where you are and where you need to go in the middle of the Great Resignation. And if it did, please hit subscribe below so you can see my videos when they come out. And make sure to hit that notifications bell so you can get alerted, get an email when I go live or when I post a new video. And if you need help with your brand strategy, your brand design, or your professional creative career, reach out to me at philipvandusen.com and let's see what we can do to get you to the next level. And with that, thanks again for watching, and bye for now.